And welcome back. Thank you so much for keeping it K24. If you just tuned in, Karibu Sana. My name is Shiko Kaitani, and happy holidays to you and yours. Now, as you know, Mashujaa Day is here. It really is a day to remember our everyday heroes, and specifically those who fought for our independence. But the big question is today is, what was life like leading to our independence in the early 60s? How was society, leadership, and our sense of patriotism back in the day and now? Who better to ask those questions than those who have witnessed it all, and even who were witnesses to some of the key events in our own history. With me today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with a man well known to be at the forefront of colonial injustices rather done to the Mau Mau. We would like to actually welcome Mashujaa and acclaimed freedom fighter, Honorable Dr. Geto Kahengeri. We do have a woman who has served at the prison service for more than 34 years, now retired prison warden, Mrs. Rahab Mwangi, not new to the show. Welcome. And of course, a man who definitely needs no introduction, especially if you have been listening to him since KBC was VOK, the unmistakable veteran broadcaster, Leonard Mambo Botella. Welcome.
Having me in your program.
Yes, Rahab, welcome. Okay, so I want to start off by asking you this question because everyone is dying to know, where were you in 1963, just when we were getting independence? Honorable Geto, let me start with you.
Yes, exactly, in 1963.
Yeah.
And I think it's early months of the year. I was caught up by the British colonial administration, and I was sent into a detention camp called the River. Few months later, I was taken by the same administration to Lodwar. There was also a prison detention camp in Lodwar. That is where I was at that time.
And so when those instruments of power were being handed to Kenyatta, you were still inside?
No.
Or you were out?
I was out because, of course, through our efforts and gallant fighting against the colonialism. At that time, in 1963, we had already won the battle.
Wow.
That is why the British handed over the administration of the land to the Africans.
Okay. Where were you, Madam Rahab, at the time when we were actually celebrating?
I was working at Langata prison. I was the deputy officer in charge.
Wow. And how old were you at that time?
I was 25 years old.
You were 25 years old in 1963,
yes.
Working in Langata prison.
I was working at Langata Women's Prison, which is very near Uhuru Gardens. And so on that night, I was there. I witnessed the Union Jack being brought down.
Wow.
And our late president raising the Kenyan flag.
What did that feel like? What was the mood
at the
park?
It was good because we really made noise. We were very happy. And to see our president, he was prime minister at that time, moving along with his fly whisk on the right side. And the Duke of Edinburgh on the left, the Queen's husband. And then it was total darkness at midnight. And so the Union Jack was lowered. And the Kenyan flag was raised, and then the lights were put on.
Wow.
You can imagine how it was.
It must have been so exciting. What a glorious moment.
It was.
Mambo, where were you in 1963?
Well, 1963, I was in Nakuru, working with the Daily Nation. I was a student reporter with the Daily Nation. And during the independence, I was still in Nakuru. But I really wanted to join broadcasting because I used to hear people like the late Stephen Kikumu, Simeon Desanjo, Hassan Mazoa. They are the ones who inspired me into broadcasting. So I remember very well that one day the editor-in-chief of Baraza newspaper, a Kiswahili newspaper, Mr. Francis Hamisi, is a deceased now, late Francis Hamisi, called me from Nakuru. And he told me that, I understand you were in Nakuru there and you come from the coast. I said, yes. Can you speak Kiswahili very well? Can you write Kiswahili very well? I said, yes.
Of course,
Mr. Hamisi, I come from the coast. I speak Kiswahili, it's almost my language. So what do you have for me? I asked Mr. Hamisi. So he told me, I would like somebody who can come to Nairobi and join us because they want a Kiswahili reporter.
And how much were they paying at that time?
Pardon?
How much were they paying?
Well, I didn't ask him, or he did not even tell me. But he just told me that he wanted me to come and join him.
Yes.
And at that time, as you have just asked Mama here, how old was I? I was 23.
Wow.
I was 23 years old because I was born in 1940. I remember the date and the month, 29th of May, 1940.
Well, sometimes you can forget your birthday.
No, I cannot. well, there's some people up to now who cannot remember their birthdays.
Okay.
But I thank God that I have a very good memory.
Right.
Very good memory.
Okay. A very interesting question. Yes. Yes, Mr.
Can I ask one thing? I think I answered a question. About 1963.
Yes.
But I answered as if I knew it was 1953. Can we correct that?
Yes.
Can we correct that?
Yeah, go ahead. So 1963, now where were you?
1963, I was in the company of freedom fighters.
Okay.
Celebrating our victory.
Yes.
At Uhuru Garden in Langata.
So you didn't know each other then, but you were
that is where we were, all the people of Kenya enjoying. Because the Mau Mau freedom fighter movement had brought independence and justice to the people of Kenya. And therefore, we went there to receive it.
Yes. Speaking about Mau Mau, what made you join the effort?
A lot of things.
Because there are those who said no. And there were those who were forced into it.
Yes, I understand.
Were you willing or were you forced into it?
I will tell you, I was very much willing. And I have many reasons. There is no time to give me all these reasons. I will give you one. Our African education was restricted to go up to standard 4. Because when you are in standard 4, you can count 1 to 2,000. Then therefore you are fit to leave the school, go back home, be taken by a European farmer to his farm of kahawa, coffee, so that you can be employed as a clerk to count the debits that were harvested that day, or rather into a ranching farm to account the doors that the servants had milked the cow in that evening.
And so you said
therefore, our knowledge was restricted to that level. If you wanted to go to standard 5, you would be asked, have you become a European to go to standard 5? We had brains. We knew our children can go to what kind of standard like you people here now. And then say, now, if you are restricting our education to that level, then you want us to stay in this country forever without education.
And you said no to that.
And that is one of the reasons
why you joined.
That made me to join the freedom fighter.
Yes,
I can add something to that. You know, when during the Second World War, very many young people went to the fight. They were fighting for British. And they went to Bumba. There were those who were in Ethiopia and many other places. When they came back, they did not get anything. But the Europeans who were fighting were given very big tracts of land and they were taken from the Africans. So they were bitter also.
Yeah.
You know, they are the ones who were fighting, yet they never got anything.
Do you remember your first encounter, you know, with either the settlers at the time, and what can you tell us about that era, Mambo? Even if you were in your early 20s, what do you remember about your encounter with the colonialists?
During that time, I was very young, and I didn't know much about independence or the struggle of our country, like Mzee Kahingira and Mama here. But I remember that part of this country, Nairobi city. At that time, you can't believe that where Hilton Hotel stands now. That was a bus station. It used to be known as Downing Street.
Yes.
It was a bus station there, and the first broadcasting station was also situated there.
Right.
By that time, it was known as African Broadcasting Service, ABS.
Wow.
Now it's known as KBC. So from ABS went to KBS, from ABS to KBS, Voice of Kenya, and now
KBC.
KBC.
Wow.
So that is the only history I can remember, because my mind was in broadcasting all the time.
Yeah.
I was inspired by the people like Joba Zamamtu, as I had told you before, and I liked broadcasting so much.
Yeah.
So I remember very well when I was in Nakuru, I used to send salam, greetings through the radio, and I was very happy when they used to call my name. Kutoka Nakuru, asante sana kwa salam zako, Leonard Mambo Tela, ungependa kutuma salam, so like that.
It was
so
a big
I remember
thing,
before I joined broadcasting here at KBC, then known as Voice of Kenya, one of the broadcasters, Mr. Simeon Sancho, who passed on some times back, came with a team from Voice of Kenya.
Yeah.
And he was conducting a program known as Hodi Hodi Mitani at that time. I remember very well.
Yes.
That was before independence.
Yeah.
So he just asked me, would you mind if you can interview some of the listeners here?
Yeah.
Yes, I told him, yes, I'll be very happy. So I took the microphone.
Yeah.
And I started interviewing people. And Simon Sancho said, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I've heard your voice, you make a very good broadcaster.
And you
radio
do?
presenter.
Yeah, yeah.
So I told him, I'll be very happy if you can arrange for me to come and join your people in Nairobi. So
that's passion. That is passion, yeah.
I was invited for an interview, and I thank God I passed, and I got the job.
Wow, congratulations.
So I joined VOK, then known as Kenya Broadcast, then known
Voice
as
of,
ABS, in 1964. I remember the date, 20th of November, 1964.
And that's when you started your show?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to talk about your show in just a minute, but let me get to Honorable Gitu here. I have watched so many documentaries on the Mau Mau, and maybe you can clarify this for us. Some that were done by the British actually have branded the Mau Mau as terrorists because they say that you were ruthless. For those who refused to join the front, were either executed, and also black people, Kenyans, were also terrorized by their very own Mau Mau. What do you have to say about that?
British people cannot write anything to say that Mau Mau were ruthless. Mau Mau were freedom fighters. Freedom fighting is not a preaching. Freedom fighting is an action. You do an act so that you can liberate your people from the domination of the British government. We were not ruthless to our own people. We were ruthless to the people who were undermining our independence, our authority, and our country. And equally, they were more ruthless than we were.
Yeah.
They killed a lot of people in this country.
Yeah. Did you have any mercy on those who were known to be friending the colonialists?
No, 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 no. If we were friendly to all the people of Kenya. Mind you, that fight against the colonial is to free the people of Kenya.
Right.
From Namanga to Moyale.
Yeah.
And from Indian Ocean, Mombasa to Busia. We were going to free those people in there. But those who joined the British government to kill us, to put us into prison, to put us into jail, they were equally enemies. Therefore, it's not a matter of being ruthless.
Yeah.
We know you may have read a lot of rubbish in the university written by like colonial.
But it is a point of the white man.
Or perhaps written by the traitors, you see, who did not want us to appear as if we are doing anything good for the people of Kenya.
Right. Madam Rehab, bringing you even onto this, I remember one story my mom told me that she happened to be on my grandma's back when she came across some of, can I say, the soldiers in the forest. So my shosho was carrying my mom, who must have been a few months old. But the only thing that saved her is because she had a baby on her back, but a few of them were actually taken into camps. What do you remember that is as clear as day to you about the struggle for independence?
You know, when in 1952, when the Mau Mau War was declared prohibited, and when Kenyatta was arrested on 20th August, I was a student at Tumutumu. That was a mission school. What I realized that I knew, those who are in forest would have taken young girls like you. Because you help cook for them, carry baggage, because those who are in the forest, they also need people to work for them.
Absolutely.
But me, that time I was about 14 years old. And so there wasn't, I didn't take a lot of action on that one. But I know that, like, my father was a teacher in a school, and he was somebody who was quiet. His character was that he used to walk alone, and he used to do things alone. Nobody touched him.
And you know, on that, so nobody touched him because of his profession, or nobody touched him?
Of his profession.
And
again, you know, he was not fighting against. That is what he said. But if you are a home guard, carrying a bag, a gun, that is total fight, isn't it? And since the Wazungus who was there, you could not, an African could not move anywhere with if a Mzungu was passing even in a car, and the man has got a hat, he had to remove it. There were those who even vowed that they will never wear hats if that is how they will be treated. And so, they were, even when the war was very bad, some people are even buried alive. So it was not easy.
And how did the segregation happen? You know, can you tell us a little bit about that? There were only restricted areas you could go to?
You know, everybody was we were in villages. People were removed from their homes and put in villages, which were actually put and surrounded by fence. But the most interesting thing is that even though they did not cultivate their shambas, pumpkins grew everywhere. So there is a time wherever you went, there was nothing else to eat.
But pumpkin.
But pumpkins. Those majority of the men were in detention camps. And so even ladies had to wear their husbands' trousers to thatch their houses and build the houses in Central Province. And again, we could not move anywhere without a pass.
You had the kipande?
If you did it, not kipande, pass. Either you have a passbook Or like me, I was born somewhere in Nyeri, beyond, near the forest.
Yeah.
If I had to go to Nyeri, I've got to go through the chief, the DO, to get a pass to allow me to enter Nyeri town.
Wow.
For a specific day, not for 2 days.
That is tough. Yeah.
And so it was total war. And somehow, it was won.
It was won. It was won. Let's fast forward a little bit now to your time when you were actually a practicing broadcaster, Mambo. I saw a picture of you, I think, is it from 1969, if I'm not wrong. But how was it for you in those days broadcasting, given that we all know that there are said to be restrictions in some of the things you'd be able to say in that era? Did it not terrify you to be a broadcaster in that generation? Because today we have a lot of freedom in terms of speech. For you, how was it then?
I quite agree with you, because I remember very well during that time. In fact, in 1964, even immediately after the independence, 1963 to 1964, our broadcasting station here was dominated by the Europeans, colonial at that time. In fact, we were not allowed to go to the English service. We were not allowed to speak Kiswahili on the corridors. We were not allowed to enter studios like English service.
So kama mnataka kuongea Kiswahili mwende, you go your own corner.
We are not allowed to enter.
And
socialize. The first lady announcer, or a first Kenyan lady announcer who was allowed to enter the English service was Elizabeth Omolo.
Really?
Yes, Elizabeth Omolo. She retired some times back. And Hassan Mazoa. And Norbert Okare. Those were the only ones who were allowed to enter the studio because they could talk or speak or broadcast in good English. We were not allowed at all. Wow. I remember when I was going to our studio, National Service, 1964, I came across a colonial officer who was still working with us there. So I just said, "Good morning, sir. How are you, sir?" Sema nini? Sema Kiswahili. Pana sema Kiingereza.
Yes.
So I wondered how come, because they thought that we could not speak English.
Right. Right.
So I came up with an English program, I remember, some times back. So the fellow came to me and apologized and said, "I'm very sorry. I met you on the corridors the other day. Then I forced you to speak in Kiswahili. I didn't know that you were that educated." So it was like that.
Wow. Okay. So before we even go to a short commercial break, just to ask you about back then when Kenyatta had a vision, and just a recap, because for us this is a history lesson. What was Kenyatta's vision when he was actually taking those instruments of power? What did Kenyatta envision for Kenya as the president?
Of course, he visualized a lot of many things, because he is the person in leading us who declared that we must fight sickness. 2, we must fight ujinga. And that we must bring wealth into our country. Therefore, these are the things Kenyatta led us into. And that is the thing that made us go to war with the British. Because when they came here, as the lady said, they came here, they took all the fertile land. You see? One European who had fought in the First World War maybe have about 200 acres in Kenya. While a black person in Kenya, whose right is in Kenya, did not have any peace to cultivate on. Therefore, when Kenyatta received the freedom for Kenya, he had that vision that people of Kenya will be rich people, people of Kenya will be educated people, people of Kenya will be healthy people, all that kind of things. And that was brought about by the Mau Mau liberation struggle for independence.
Okay.
Can I mention something on that one?
Yeah.
If you know, from Nairobi to Thika, it's about 40 kilometers.
Yes.
The land there had been subdivided between about 10 settlers. Yes.
Only just 10?
Yes.
Wow.
From Nairobi to Thika.
Only 10 people?
Yes, 10 settlers.
That's ridiculous.
And the Africans who are there were moved out. Were squeezed to go back to the other areas.
And you know, they were not just getting it because it's an empty land. There were people who were herding their cattle. There were people who were cultivating. And then they came and took the arms. They removed them to the ends of Gatondo area and all that. So that land remained to be a one European farm with 20, 40, 50 acres of land.
I would like also to tell you that
if you were there, you would have been bitter like me.
Absolutely, I agree.
Among those senior Kenyans of their time who fought for this country was my uncle. You might wonder, how come we have Mbotela Estate in Nairobi here? My uncle, my late uncle, Tom Mbotela, was Assistant Secretary General of CAU at that time, Kenya African Union.
Yes.
And he was brutally murdered at Bumba Market here, Jogo Road there. They had a meeting with the colonial governor the other day, sometimes back, and this was way back in 1952. They had a meeting there with the then governor, colonial governor, Sir Evelyn Bering. So he was invited there. He was also a councillor with the Nairobi City Council. And he was a full member of CAU, Kenya African Union. He worked with the late Kenyatta, Biu Koinange, Tom Mboya, and many others. So after the meeting, he just told his bodyguard, okay, you can just leave me now. You go and join your family. I'll see you tomorrow. You just go and rest. So he decided to board a bus, a Kenya bus, because he was staying at Kaloleni Estate here, near the city stadium there. That estate there. So he boarded a bus, going home. His father was waiting for him, the mama, and his family also, a wife. When the bus reached Bumba Market, I don't know where you were at that time, and that's why the market was burnt down. So he alighted from the bus. As he was just crossing now to go to his house, he was ambushed there, he was brutally murdered. That's why they decided to name that estate Mbotela Estate for his remembrance. Because most of the people, we don't know how this
the history
Mbotela
behind
Estate came about.
Right.
Yeah, it was named after my late uncle.
Thank you for
Mbotela.
that history lesson.
Yes.
Thank you. And of course, there's so much more to come right here on K24, even on this Mashujaa Day, as we think about our everyday heroes and those who actually fought for our independence. What do you have to say about this? Keep talking to us on our social media platforms. We'll be back with my panel.